Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
In Cut the Clutter with me today, we look at two different situations. One of great commotion and concern, and the other of great celebration and order. So we had a large group, tens of thousands of farmers trying to come into Delhi to protest with their demands, and they were stopped on the outskirts of Delhi, and there was some police action against them, and some people were hurt. And the leader of the farmers told the Prince reporter that they were now alienated with Narendra Modi and they were not going to vote for him. In Rashtrapati Bhavan, on the other hand, at exactly the same time, the Prime Minister, along with several key members of his cabinet, Sushma Swaraj, Hardeep Puri, Manoj Sinha, Uma Bharti, was sitting with the Secretary General of the United Nations. Why? One, to celebrate the beginning of the 150th anniversary celebrations of Mahatma Gandhi. And second, to also mark a big seminar on global sanitation situation. This was a hall full of international delegates. I was there too, among the invitees. And it was quite an impressive show. And you could see that this government knows how to manage an event. It also knows how to create a brand. For example, among the various things that the government announced they have done today, one was just a rendering of Mahatma Gandhi's favorite Vaishnav Janto, Tene Kahiye Jo Peer Parai Jane Re. In fact, it was Mr. Modi's idea, and he said this to Sushma Swaraj, who then got all of India's missions involved. So they've got the best singers of 124 countries to sing Vaishnav Jan or different lines of it in their own language. You remember Mile Sur Mera Tumhara? That was the best of Indian singers and musicians. This is from all over the world. So they did that right. Quite stirring it was. Second, they produced a bunch of postage stamps, which Government of India has produced on Swachh Bharat. And these are all, what is unusual, these are all circular like this. And what does this remind you? Remind you of Mahatma Gandhi's glasses. So which country would have, or which government would have thought of this? And the Prime Minister himself was happy to inform us that this was the first time that India had produced postage stamps which were circular. Now, on the one hand, you have this great event celebration. Swachh Bharat is a good program, and I think this will be one of the better legacies of this government, because everybody says keep your surroundings clean or stop open defecation, but Mr. Modi has taken it to a mission mode. He's also made it a very popular thing, a kind of a mass movement. You can sometimes think that he overdoes it, but frankly, overdoing this is not such a problem. You can always overdo these things if they make an impact and if they are. But how come this same government is not able to manage what's going on the outskirts? And I don't mean that in law and order terms. What I mean is, in the 5th year of this government, at a time when we had a reasonable monsoon, not a great monsoon, but a reasonable monsoon, but we are now guaranteed a record harvest. But how come, in spite of that, farmers are so angry and government is not able to deliver? Now, this is purely a result of poor governance on the agriculture side, poor imagination, lack of thinking, and a kind of lazy feeling that if farmers complain, throw more money at them. Throwing more money at farmers is not going to help, because you have a flawed economics in Indian farming, where nearly 60-65% of India's population produces just about 15% of India's GDP. There is a flaw there. You can say, I will offer you more procurement prices. Farmers will produce what will then be easily procured and make very little profit on it, but it will make them lazy. On the other hand, things that farmers produce besides wheat and rice and a few other pulses, tomatoes, potatoes, vegetables, things which government cannot acquire. There, the big differential in prices between the farm gate and the shop. So between farm gate to the fork, as they say, between the price at which the farmer sells to the price at which the consumer buys, an enormous difference will prevail. And that is what makes farmers unhappy. I sell tomatoes for 1 rupee a kilo. People in Bombay buy it for 50 rupees a kilo, or in Delhi buy it for 50, 60 rupees a kilo. How is it justice? It is not justice. But the answer to that is not that government buys all the tomatoes and at a certain price and then sells it to consumers at a certain price. The answer is to create proper retail chains, to narrow the gap between the farmer and the market. For that, you have to allow FDI in retail. You have to remove or reduce seasonality in the pricing of agricultural products. Now, government had 5 years to fix it. It hasn't done so. This government has gone back to very old style approach to farming, which is farmers are wonderful, you produce more grain, you feed all of the country, I will give you more money, I will say thank you to you, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. That was in the mid-60s. You have to have a farm economics of 2018. There, this government has failed, and frankly, anything they do now is not going to help, because farmers by and large are unhappy and they will remain unhappy. So you see these two contrasting situations. On the one hand, you see the government at its best, this government, and on the other, you see this government at its most incompetent. And you know what is going to matter more in the elections and for the voters. So I leave that to you. And finally, remember, 36 hours from now, a very important guest will come into India. That is Vladimir Putin, the strongman of Russia. When Putin comes in, deals come in. When you go to see Putin, deals are guaranteed. So two things are guaranteed when Putin and Modi meet. One is a lot of hugs, and second, a lot of deals. So expect some movement on some defense purchases. And also, as our defense editor has pointed out, this will be an opportunity for Mr. Modi also to distance himself from some of the deals or defense production areas where the Anil Ambani group seemed to be getting involved, because the deals in which he had got involved on the Russian side will now be completely dropped. And in our correspondent's reckoning, and I think is quite right, the same will happen in the course of time on Rafale as well.